dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. What's up, people? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you this evening. Why? Because I said so. Had some technical difficulties, but we back, and we're going to do what we can to make sure we have a great show. We're going to talk about that marriage is better than being single. Some may differ, but we'll see what everybody has to say on the panel. And the question that we're going to talk about first is, what's the best book or article you've read this year? And they say that Black folk don't read, but I think that's different with my panel. So we're going to start off with Miss Shanteri.
Oh.
What's up, Shan?
Good evening, fine people. I'm going to be the typical Black. The only books and articles that I've read this year have had all the things to do with work. So special education. That's it. Yeah.
What you learned from the book that you didn't already know?
There's been some SPED laws that I've had to go back and look at. So yes, just understanding some compliance pieces for work. So that's been quite helpful. You don't want to mess over and have people suing districts, and I need my job. So yeah,
that's
very helpful, very insightful.
Okay, that's a bet. We're gonna go with next to the stage, Mr. Martavius Young.
I'm with that. Thanks for having me again, man.
Absolutely.
Best book this year. I actually had to go back through my Audible to kind of look, and the one that really stuck out to me was the UOU by Dr. Eric Thomas, or E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. And I thought it was really good too. I really didn't know his backstory. I just knew he was a motivator, but just his backstory was crazy. And just some of the things that stuck out was like nothing shows up without doing the pre-work. I just thought he came on the scene motivating people, but he talked about just his history of just starting with the youth, starting with the kids, and just building his way up. So just knowing that you got to put the work in behind the scenes before your time comes. That way, when your time comes, you're already prepared. You don't have to get ready because you've been doing the work. So that one really stuck out to me, sure.
That's what's up. Thanks for sharing. Then we're gonna come do the person that always has an answer. Mr. Prototype.
What's good?
Chilling, man. Glad you're here, man.
Man, so to the question, the best book I've read this year is Men Dealing with ADHD. I've been on a huge journey of my medical health, so dealing with ADHD, all those kind of disabilities, depression, and that kind of stuff, man. So trying to figure all that out with myself. So that's the book. That's the best book I've read this year.
So you finished that book?
Yeah.
That's what's up. How long is it?
It isn't long. It took me about maybe 10 days.
Okay, so it's like 250 pages or something like that?
I don't know the exact page, but
okay, that's what's up. You're so serious tonight. Golly. Okay, that's what's up. Hey, bring you to the stage, my homie, my friend, Mr. Dwayne Jones.
My check. Come on.
It's low, but it's on.
All right. Animal Farm, George Orwell.
What is that about?
Fairly interesting. The pigs or the animals of the farm overthrow the humans because the humans are oppressive and no good, and they form their own government structure, and they try to govern themselves, formulate rules and all that fun stuff, just to oppose the humans. So it was interesting, based on like as for government, like I think it was the Soviet Union in which it modeled it by. So it was like a satire or a play on that.
So was it recommended to you?
Yeah, it was recommended to. Well, it's one of those instances where a couple of times you see it beforehand, and then somebody mentions it, and then it's like, all right, let me go ahead and check that out. So that's how it was. Fairly interesting. Real. Yeah. I could see the I think it's 1984, the other George Orwell book, where he predicts like a lot of the stuff that's happening in our society today, and that was a similar play on that book to see how it's same tactic.
That's what's up, man. Appreciate you being here, bro. Mr. Consistency. All right. And welcome to the stage, Miss Lady Di.
What's up, y'all? How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here.
Good. So the book that I've been reading for this year has been the Good Old Bible. I've been getting, closer with that. I used to read the King James version, which they say is like one of the hardest ones to read. I'm glad I did kind of start there because it gave me some newfound vocabulary. But as far as that, I switched over to the NIV version. So I'm just getting into that and kind of starting from scratch.
So do you start at a particular book, or you just open it up and just go?
No, it depends on what I'm learning through the week. It would depend on what book I go to. So I never start from the beginning because that's not how the Bible works. It's here a little, there a little,
Everywhere a little. Okay.
There's a verse for that, but yeah.
That's a bet. And welcome to the stage, my homie, my friend, the young OG, Mr. Trill AC.
What's going on, G?
Chilling, man. How you doing, bro?
Amazing, man. Appreciate you asking.
Absolutely. Appreciate you being here, man. You got the question?
Yeah, the book I'm reading now is called A Thousand True Fans by John Longhurst. It's basically it's like a marketing book almost. It's like when people building platforms and building businesses and brands and stuff, a lot of times they be focused on how I can get the most people to my product. But that book, teaches you to kind of hone in on the true fans and like make sure that you please them. And by proxy, they're going to go out there and do the advertising for you and bring in more people. Because word of mouth spreads faster than any type of ad that you can buy, right? So if you're taking care of your 1,000 true fans, if you can get 1,000 true fans, then you can be successful in any business if you're treating them right. So that's the gist of it.
That's what's up. What's the name of the book again?
1,000 True Fans by John.
Oh, 1,000 True Fans. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that philosophy. What made you get into that particular book?
Well, I mean, I've just been going back and forth, just trying to just take in, insight as far as like just building the brand even more bigger than it is. And, a lot of times, like I get caught up in it too. I'm like, man, how can we get to other demographics in here? How can we do this, do that? And, I was just looking up marketing books and they say that was a real important one. So I was like, man, I never heard of it. So let me check it out. That's how I am. Like I gotta read like one book a month. So that was, that's my book this month. But yeah, hell of a read, man.
That's what's up. How long did it take you to read it?
I'm not done yet. I'm not done. I'm about halfway through.
All right, cool. Let me get this question started, and then I'm gonna have to take care of something real quick. Right? We're gonna keep it real simple. Many people have it confused. Some people got it right, some people got it wrong, but who's to say? Because like we talked last week, it's all about perspective on who's the messenger and who is receiving it. But we're gonna start with this. How would you define marriage? How would you define marriage? Okay, and we'll start with prototype, and then of course you'll let me know who goes next.
Man, for me, it's simple, man. I would define it as the Bible does, man and woman, straight like that. So straight out of the word is how I would look at it. With the whole Christ is the head, then the man, then the wife, children after that. So that's kind of that's how I go about it. Let's go with Lady Di.
Okay, so for me, I like that answer, but for me, it would be sacrifice. if you don't know how to sacrifice, then you shouldn't get married, because through a marriage, well, before a marriage, you have to sacrifice to even be with the person that you're with, even if it's small. But in a marriage, you're going to go through things. It doesn't have to all be bad, but you're going to go through things where, working together as one is a sacrifice, kind of, because you're so used to doing stuff by yourself. So you have to learn how to adapt and not be selfish. So once you do that, there's going to be things that you have to be selfless on, and you're going to put it, okay, well, let me have my husband do this, right? And then you have to kind of take a step back of humbleness, so you can do those, so your husband could do those things, or even your wife. That's just a form of sacrifice that no one talks about. They say that's the hard part of marriage, but it's really not, because once you put it into your heart, into your mind, it's easy.
That's what's up. I appreciate that. Who you got going next?
True.
How do I define marriage? Duty. I think whether or not you want to, whether or not you like them on that given day, whether or not y'all just got in an argument, or whether or not things are going great, is doing what you signed up to do through all of that. Y'all stood in front of God and took vows for us to hold each other down through good and bad, and thick and thin, and sickness and health, and all of those good things. A lot of people get up there and just say those words, but you don't really understand the gist of it until you hit about maybe 5-10 years in. And then it's like, okay, I see what they was talking about. Because that's when the trials and tribulations really start coming in. You see what I'm saying? But when they come in, are you going to be willing to stand firm on what it is that you promised to do? Most people not. And that's why most marriages, that's why about half, or a little over half of marriages don't last. Because a lot of people prepare for the wedding, but they don't prepare for the marriage. So in my opinion, if I had to summarize it, it's duty. And we're going to go with Shan next.
All great answers. I'm going to add to it and say a contractual agreement, a binding contractual agreement that we should not be able to just get out of because of how we feel. Marriage to me also does not necessarily include love. When we make contractual agreements in the workplace and anywhere else, it does not matter if you love that person. You agreed to sign up for this. And so, as everyone stated, the ebbs and flows of marriage, all those things, your duties, your responsibilities, all of those things are involved in this agreement that you have made with one another. And so you just got to hold it down. And it's between just you and that person you've made that agreement with, no one else, not even children. They are a part of it, but they are not, they have to leave. So that agreement is between two people, man and woman. Okay. And it's eternal. So I'm going over to Dwayne.
All right. I look at it as a union between a man and a woman, overseen by God. And through that, they will know how to truly love each other. That's how I see.
Is that everybody? Did Montavious, did you get to go?
No, my bad, Montana.
I didn't go. No, it's all good. I would just everything you guys said. I would just at the end of the day, it's a choice. Like when you choose to marry somebody, I'm just from the old school. People used to always say word is bond, but you can't say that when it comes to marriage. I mean, as much as we want to, because our words change every single day dealing with people these days. So I think marriage has to go back to like just the old school, foundational, just like choosing it every single day. And I think going back to what somebody just said earlier, like sometimes even when dating somebody, the same thing that you did while you was dating them, you stop doing it once you get them. And then when it leads up into like the engagement, you start celebrating, and then you get to that marriage. Then we all of a sudden think everything is over once the marriage day ends. But that's when it really begins, because now you have to go to work dealing with this person that you thought you knew, that you really have no clue about. And then you have to deal with the different sides of that person. So my wife always jokes, and she say when I married her, like I married a lot of women, because she can be a different person depending on the day. And I have to be willing to choose her as that person every single day. So for me, it just comes down to being a choice and understanding, like once you make that commitment, like I said, going back to the word is bond, then you have to stick with that regardless of how you feel, because we can't let our emotions choose whether we're going to show up for our spouse or not. We have to let our actions, and we have to let our vows that we made to them show up continuously too.
That's what's
Can
up.
I add
All good
one more
answers.
word, humble
Go
dad?
ahead.
Can I add one more word?
Yeah.
Growth. I think that's a word we missed. Growth. Because we change. Man, I am not the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm not even the same person I was 5 years ago, yesterday. So growth would definitely also have to be a word that I would use to define marriage as well.
That's good. Anybody want to add? Because I was going to add to something. Anybody have something to say?
I was going to add to Shan. So it's kind of like accepting growth. You ever heard someone say, "Oh, I grew out of love with that person," or "We grew apart"? I think that's BS, because you're supposed to grow together. Even if one person is ahead of you, you better catch up. Or if that person is under you, you better wait. It's about patience. So that's all I want to add.
I think that comes from more of a I married this person because they had potential and they never came to fruition. You know what I'm saying? So that's how they fell out of love or grew out of love, because that person never hit the potential that they thought they were going to be or be marrying down the road. You know what I mean? So I think that's what that goes to.
So there was an expectation that was probably not mentioned to the other person, and so therefore, since that person didn't hit the expectation, now there's a conflict. Is that what you kind of alluded to?
Yeah.
Okay. Some people in the chat say, like, "Are y'all sad?" they say look like y'all had like a long day. That's what they said. I want to go to something that Shan said, and I'm gonna have to take a pause for here in a short moment, and somebody have to take over for a little bit. She said something about that marriage is not just about love, right? It's not about love. Is that you said something like that, right? Okay.
Yeah, we don't get married. Some people do get married for love. However, as you go through the trials and tribulations of any relationship, you're not going to love or feel love or like people every day. And so if that is the only thing that that's why we get this, "I don't love you anymore." Who cares? You don't have to love me today, but you're still going to be here. Like, we still going through this thing. So that's just kind of my thing. Why this whole, I think that's this Disney World thing that we have going on, where there's going to be this Prince Charming coming in and swooping you off your feet. That's not what marriage is. Put that away. Hide those movies and those videos. We're lying. That's all.
Okay. So I wanted to ask the question then: how can you marry someone you like but not love? How can you marry someone you like but not love? Seeing as though marriage is more than about love, right? And we'll start with Trill.
I think it goes back to what I said earlier about duty. Like, even in history, marriage wasn't founded on love. It was founded on, exterior motives. If we're gonna be real, finances, upgrading your financial situation. That's what it was founded upon. But over time, people done kind of tied it to that fairy tale that Shan is talking about. They don't watch Cinderella. They don't watch, movies like I'm finding my Prince Charming and this, that, and the third, and I want everything to be like this and it's beautiful. And then they get about, like I said, 5-6 years into that situation and realize, wait a minute, this shit is not all, it's not all rainbows and sunshines. So I think at that point is when it sets in. Now that's going to test your commitment to the duty. Now, me personally, I wouldn't say that I could be married to somebody that I don't love. But there are two different versions of love, right? Like, I love my cousin. Like, I love my homie, but I'm in love with my wife. So I think, you could be married to somebody and not be in love, sure. But, if I can't marry somebody that I don't love, or I don't at least have some type of regard or caring for, also, but yeah, people get married for a lot of reasons that don't involve love, man. Money, status, it's a bunch of different external reasons or superficial reasons, pardon me, that people get married for. So I mean, it's not that far fetched, because marriage wasn't founded on love.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then we're gonna go to Dwayne.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I could agree with that. I could not. No, we can't just cruise through life off like, because that's just shifty. So like, love is substantive. Like, it's deep. for me. So I love my wife. Therefore, I'm willing to sacrifice for the rest of my life. That means the things that I like in order to then make sure that I'm paying attention to her and being able to love her how I need to love her. And in that regard, yeah, I'm glad I love her and not just like her, because yeah, that wouldn't be good for nobody. And lady died.
So I didn't, when I got married to my husband, I did love him. So I'm not going to say that you cannot do that. I just think that it's very risky because sometimes the mind can take over. So if you love someone too much, you already know like the stories of Snapped. These people are like in love to the extreme. Like you can't do nothing without me. We going down together. So it's kind of like you got to make sure your head is leveled and balanced. So just be careful with how you love somebody. Love them enough, but if it's time for you guys to spread it apart because of some things that are life threatening, I'm always about life threatening on why people should divorce. If it's life threatening, then you should be able to go your separate ways without feeling so crazy where you have to end something. So be careful with it. But I think that you can marry someone that you like because marriage is not about love. It's about the things that you are doing for each other. So just think of it like this. There's a bum on the street, right? We don't love them, but you might give them some money. I'm talking about a real bum, not the fake scammers, but someone that really needs some help, or think of a kid that needs help. They don't have a father. You're going to go and help that kid because you care about a stranger because you feel sorry for that person, I guess, but it's still someone that you want to help. So when it comes to marriage, it's not about, oh, I love them so much. It's about, okay, the things that we can accomplish together. We could make, great business together. If that's one of the things, you can make kids together, build a legacy for, your future. It's a lot of things you can do. You don't have to love someone to do that. Like I don't love my business partner, but we do business together. So it's just about how you take it. But I think you can marry someone without loving them.
Was that everyone?
I'm sorry. Prototype.
So I would say, man, mainly, people get married for green cards every day. People get married for the wildest stuff out here, man. So I guess it's easy to marry somebody that you only like and not love. But I would say men generally don't do that. And women do. If a man provides a certain, lifestyle or status or whatever to that woman, I think women do it all the time because they're doing it for provisioning. You know what I mean? That's always the basis of their thing. I think men love more than women do. So it might be a little harder for men to come to that idea. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, if you throw a dude, a couple $1,000, you know what I'm saying, to marry somebody for a green card, he'll surely do it if he's about that cash. So it is what it is, man. So, man, let's.
Why before you go there? Why do you think, or why do you say that men love? What did you say? They love.
Men love harder than women do.
Explain that.
I mean, we'll die for a woman. Like, how many women die for a man out here? You know what I mean? Trill said earlier is duty, but duty is attached to love. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love my cousin, and I have a duty to protect him out while we out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Or my homeboy. Like, duty's attached to love. You know what I'm saying? So we might not like somebody, but that protection that I die for you, that that I'll help you move. Somebody help you move, they love you. You know what I'm saying? Even though we hate you, like we hate that act. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things, man. Like, but men just love more than women do. Women can fake a connection. They can fake an emotional intimacy. Men can't. You know what I mean? So it just is what it is.
I would like to hear from a woman on that perspective. What do y'all think on what
I mean, waitresses, strippers, like, you know what I'm saying? They thrive off of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? They fake emotional intimacy. They sell the fantasy easy. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they do.
I don't feel like that's a lie. I think it takes men a long time to come around or get to the point of love, and they may not always express it the way that we want it expressed. However, by them going out, going to work, providing for us, taking care of us, protecting it, like those are their ways of showing us love. You know, it's not always the gushy stuff that us women want. And I do think that there are quite a few women out here who really can fake it till you make it, like shape shifting.
So you should understand why men take so long to get to, because we can't just be out here down for everybody. We only got one life to sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Women can fake it, and then we be connected and thinking that we're in love with this person, and she'll throw our life away, or we'll be rotting in jail, we'll crash out, and she's on to the next fake and the next emotional connection. You know what I'm saying? So we only got one life, and that life is connected to who we are in love. So.
And also, love. I mean, marriage is not fashionable for men. I think that's the part that we're leaving out of this. Men, like men don't wake up and say, "Hey, man, I want to get married today. I'm about to go find a wife today. I want to get married." That's not the thought process. Women are programmed to have that thinking. As a matter of fact, a lot of times they validate each other based on their ability to get married. Like, if you see two women argue, one of them married, one of them not, what's the first insult gonna come out? That's why you ain't married. I mean. I'm married. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to reference it because it's a status symbol. But when men get in the argument, you'll never hear a man say, "That's why I'm married and you're not." It just doesn't work like that, right? It's not fashionable for a man to be married. So going back to prototype point, it takes a lot for a man to consider, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. Like he has to love that woman. Like, because that woman provides inspiration for him. The benefits that a woman bring to a marriage are intangible. Meaning that's the way that we receive our benefit. Whereas as a woman, it goes back to that protection, security type of thing. If it's a dude that got a whole lot of money, lady dies right. Woman ain't gotta love that dude, but he gonna take care of me. I'm getting financial benefit from this. My family is gonna be taken care of. I ain't gotta worry about a thing. I ain't gotta work. I ain't gotta do nothing. But as a man, when we sign up for that marriage, we signing up to take responsibility for your livelihood. I can't do that for somebody that I just like. It doesn't work like that. I gotta be fascinated, or it ain't gonna happen.
Who you got going next?
Go ahead, Martavius.
But I choose. Okay. Go ahead, prototype.
Martavius?
Oh, that was I agree with that, and I think for me, when you talk about that, like another form of love when it comes to men, it's like trust. They have to know that they can trust you for that commitment, trust you with the things that's going to be talked about, and trust you with the feelings. A lot of time, men, we don't like to talk about feelings, but it's going to come out, whether it's after a couple of drinks or whatever the case may be. But we need to trust the fact that you're not going to let it go beyond your lips, your ears. So I think that's a big thing with it. And for me personally, I can't marry somebody I like but not love. We talked about it before on a couple of Zooms before, prototype, and I was talking about when I saw my now wife, I was like, she's gonna be my wife. Like, that was women in between there that I like, but it didn't lead to them being my wife, even though I was already on that path. And I came to that realization. I had grown, I had gotten closer to God, and I knew this was the life that I wanted. Now it came down to okay, decision making. Now it came down to, like, are you willing to commit to this life that you're saying you want to build? Are you willing to make decisions not based on emotions? Are you willing to make decisions not based on just liking someone? Can you go deeper than that? And I think once I started getting off the surface and actually going deeper and seeing people for who they truly are, not just what they look or what they wear or whatever that case may be, then I start seeing them differently. So when I did see my wife, I knew that there was something different about her, and I said, I'm willing to be committed to that. You look great, beautiful, all of that, but what you're doing outside of that, the discipline. You, Army National Guard, you are a very disciplined woman. I play football. I am a very disciplined man, so I know together, like, we are going to be a disciplined couple. And I know when the S hits the fan, you're gonna have my back at the end of the day because you've been trained for that. And I think just going back to what Trio talked about earlier, like, I got girls now, and like I said, sometimes we train our girls, but we raise our boys. We want our girls to be protected, let them know we're going to do whatever in the case to make sure that when you hit this certain age, like, you're going to be the best decision-making thing in the world. And with our boys, sometimes I think we lack that same consistency and intentionality where we just want them to go out. Like, our boys talk about having girlfriends, and like, I cut that short and I treat them the same way that I treat my girls. Like, no, like, can you afford to take her on a date right now? And if you can't do that, then you have to understand, like, there's priorities. You can't just say you have girlfriends and think, that you can just go tell your homeboys in school, this is what, like, no, if you can't provide for her. So it's me setting that foundation and letting them know, like, right now, like, when you hit a certain age, it's not just having girlfriends so dad can send you to Valentine school and have Valentine presents and all these things to put in people get, like, no, you're going to be able to work and do these things for yourself. And I think it just comes from, like, at a young age, teaching them and instilling them that thing. But it also comes from them seeing the way that I treat my wife, understanding like love is a choice. You see how I treat your mom every single day. And it isn't always me telling you, hey, babe, I love you. Sometimes it's just doing things. Sometimes it's asking, hey, how do you feel today? Sometimes it's just doing certain things for her. So I think it just comes to like really getting off the surface level and really just start to get deeper. And the only way to do that is to, it doesn't happen by accident. And you have to literally get off in an environment that you're in, because many times what we see in our environment, it just isn't something that we want these kids to be raised with, and expecting them to see change when all they're seeing is the things that's been passed down for generations to come. So I think sometimes we have to be willing to just bring kids, or whatever the case, get them in a different environment where they can learn these things and break some of these patterns that, you know, they've been seeing and raised all their life, including myself. So I had to leave Alabama and come to South Dakota to learn these things. Not saying that people are different, but it allowed me to like lower like my expectations, allowed me to get in somebody else's box so that I can learn that there are different ways to do things.
So you want your first interaction with women for your boys to be when they have money?
Man, they got interaction now in school. My boys are handsome. Like,
but I mean, you said you shut it down. So are you saying you want their
no,
first interaction?
No. I don't shut it down. I list the expectations. Okay, she's your girlfriend. What are you doing for her? So I start listing these things now. So
but she's to help me. So what is she doing for him?
Okay, well, hold on. No.
She to help me.
You say
she to help me. A woman's supposed to support the man. She to help me. So what is she doing for him?
That's a good point, but she's not my responsibility. She's not under my household, so I can't train her, but I can.
But you need to train him that a woman is supposed to be your helpmeet. You got to have a task for her to do. You got to have a vision, a plan for her. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't necessarily, oh, I'm providing. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's to help me. She's supposed to help him.
That's a good point, but I wouldn't say it's just monetary. I think it's, for me, the way that I see it, it's more so mindset. Understanding like he don't know what love is. He's 5 years old. My oldest son is 8 years old. They don't know what love is. They like different girl every single day. So I can't tell you every time you come home. Like, so for me, it's like, what are the foundational things that you can teach them at this young age? Because they're gonna see, like, they're very handsome boys. And I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat that. My girl's a beautiful girl. So for me, it has to go deeper than looks. Of course, people are gonna be attracted to you. You live in South Dakota, you're mixed. There's not too many kids that look like you. So you stand out, you look different. So people are gonna be drawn to you. So for me, it has to be outside of looks. What else can you do? What else can you provide? Because there's gonna be so many opportunities for you, for other people to try to claim you just based on that. So for me, it's not about what does like the girl bring to the table. For me, training him as a man. So I'm not like, I don't want to say it's like preparing for like, this is your helpmate, this is support, because I don't want to think she has to be bringing something to the table for her to be your spouse or be your girlfriend.
She do need to bring something to the table. It's cooperation.
Okay, she gonna start bringing her lunch to share with him.
Yup, absolutely.
That's what you tell me.
Absolutely.
Man, he gets.
I got an extra cracker for you today. You know what I'm saying? She better be coming with some extra gifts. You still hungry, little eight-year-old? That's what she need to come with, yup.
Scheming the snacks. What?
She better be sharing some gummy bears.
No, I get where you're coming from, but for me, it's like that's a little far-fetched for me to try to get him to see from that perspective when I'm having a hard time. Not a hard time, but it's like kids, you got to tell them over and over because they are kids. So I got to be repetitive in that. So I can't try to get so like treat him such like an adult like that. So now I have to teach him how to like see from that perspective. But I see where you're coming from.
Next time, ask him who brought you the gummy bears. That's the one you want.
Man, I don't know how other people are raising their kids, so I can't like.
Hey, to my daughters, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, where you going with the extra gummy bears? Put that back."
That's hilarious. I think that's an interesting thought process, though. Like, how do we teach our daughters that they're helpmates? Is that something that is being taught? And if so, how would you do that?
I mean, if I could jump in, I would say they would learn that from their affection to their daddy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a little girl would look at her daddy, and you know, Trill got a daughter. Where I'm sure like she does nothing but hang around and try to help. You know what I'm saying? Or well, y'all, I'm sure y'all can speak. If y'all love y'all daddy, y'all are trying to hang around your daddy, trying to help your daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what a little girl do. Hey, daddy, can I help you in some type of way? You know what I'm saying? And in return, you love that girl and she knows you love her unconditionally. You hold her, cuddle her, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that little girl will come to you like, you want a sandwich, you want this, like anything, you know what I'm saying? Because she loves her dad. And I just think it's just one of those things that she gets from how she treats and respects her dad is how she'll learn how to be a helpmate, you know what I'm saying, in the future.
See, I
I
think
agree
also we got to
with
be
that.
careful with that though, because a lot of dads, me included, right? Let her get away with whatever she want to get away with. She want new toys, I buy it for her. She wants something to eat, I get it.
Oh man.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with spoiling your kids like that. But you know what I'm saying, it's a reciprocal love thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I would never tell my daughter no to anything if she's, you know, being that sweet little girl, getting me stuff or making sure I'm okay, that kind of stuff. Like there's nothing I would say no to. There's nothing to say no to for it.
I see that a little differently. Sometimes I just say no just to say no.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact,
I'll say no.
I'll do this one. So my oldest, scrolling through the grocery store, asked me every last hour we went, asked for something, right? And then we got outside. She said, "Good job, Dad. Good job. I thought you were actually going to get me something." At that moment, I realized she knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. She was going to keep asking, keep asking, keep asking until I like, all right, sure, come on with it. But that time I said, no, we ain't gonna play that one. But then she was like, "Hey, good job." Oh, okay. Let me get my noted. Noted. So yeah, I believe in saying no just to say no at times. I'm just saying. And then you know what? Even if you really wanted, I could get you as a gift later on down the road just to say I was listening.
Yeah, I agree. Because I had my dad in my life, so he had me do stuff for him. I don't know if it was for the reason that Prototype was talking about, but I did do stuff for him, and I guess it taught me how to do stuff for my husband now. Like I have this humble spirit, so I do think it definitely comes from the father, big time.
But yeah, man, pardon me. I don't know what went on. But like I was saying, as a man, like we got to be careful because a lot of times the dads be more the culprit for the entitlement than anybody. Because we tell our I don't even want him hit. Like, what is he doing for you? He needs to need to bring this to the table. He need to be doing that. He need to pay for all the dates. He need to treat you this way. He need to do this. He need to do that. He need to do this. He need to do that. But rarely ever do we sit our daughter down and say, "Hey, this is what you do for a man that you really like, or this is how you treat a man." That conversation is not had. What's had is that don't let no man disrespect you. He need to like demand this. This is what you should be demanding. But we don't teach her what she should be given. And on top of that, we spoiling her on the back end. So when she leave the crib and she run into somebody, all she got is expectation. That's it. But
You
no
know,
sense of duty.
I think that comes from the generation ahead of us being defeated men and not being able to do what they needed to do for their children. So the whole culture ahead of us was about getting your kids out so they can do better than what they're doing because they simply couldn't help. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us come from that crack baby era. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them dudes, they're telling their kids, do this, do that. I can't help you for real. So it's kind of like I'm just trying to tell you so you can go out and do it, but I can't really help you from how I want to because I'm messed up myself. I think that's where that really comes from.
Or the man just looking at the landscape and understanding the mindset of men out there, especially young men out there, and knowing that most dudes, and we just gonna keep it real. Now that there are some solid ones, but most dudes is coming into a woman life for one reason only, man. That's the facts. Now, every now and again, you run into one that's special, and then it's like, okay, yeah, we going somewhere else. We doing something a little different. I'm gonna be on my P's, Q's, make sure I's is dotted, T's is crossed. But most women that we run into, we trying to smash. So with that mindset, us being a man, we kind of teaching them with a, and I hate it to call it fear tactic, but it's not fear tactic. It's like this is what is. It's like giving somebody a stat, like if somebody's moving to a brand new neighborhood, hey, this is the stat sheet on the crime rate. This is the robberies happen at this rate. People break in your crib at this rate. Cars are stolen at this rate. You can call it fear-based, whatever, but these is facts. So fact is, most men that come into your daughter life is coming in there with no substance at all in mind. So move accordingly. So I think that's more of what it stems from. And that's why we so hard on him in terms of making sure that this man is bringing this. So you don't get caught up just because he talks smooth and he handsome and he got swagger and all of these things. And then you don't open your damn legs and he right off to the next dude because you wasn't paying attention. You was looking with rose colored glasses instead of analyzing the man like you should be. And if anybody should be teaching you how to analyze him, it should be me. Because when I was younger, I was doing the same goddamn thing. Pardon my French. So that's more what the mindset is, in my opinion.
Yeah, but bringing this, and this, right? Them dudes, I mean, that's basically teaching her to date older dudes who's coming in with the same intentions as them dudes with swag, them young dudes with swag. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll be like, a girl will look at a dude and be like, oh, he got this. Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'll spread open for him because he got these intangibles. And he has no intention on being with that girl. So it's just a different player game. You know what I'm saying? It's what you just set her up for.
Nah, because you saying it like I'm speaking on just material things. When I'm talking about fear-based, I mean making sure that man is there for a serious reason. That's not saying, hey, make sure that he has an expensive car before you date him, or make sure that he lives in a condo or a big ass house or a high rise before you date him, or make sure he's making $200,000 before you date him. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is make sure that this man is consistent. Make sure that this man is a man of his word. He has integrity. Like how does his family? What's his relationship with his family? Like how do his friends look up to him, or is he the peon in the group? Make sure that this man got backbone. Make sure that this man willing to lay down his life for you if necessary. Make sure that he cares about you that much before you entertain this on a serious fashion. But again, and even that, it sounds great. It sounds wholesome, but it's still teaching her for expectation. But rarely ever do we teach her, hey, when you run into this type of man, though, you need to move like this. You need to do this to take care of that man. You need to pay attention to detail when it comes to that man. You need to make sure that he feels like a man. He feels valued. He feels fulfilled when he walks into this household, that you're providing him peace, that you're doing this, that you're doing that. These conversations are not had. And that's what gets women into trouble. So they go out there, again, they daddy spoiling the hell out of them, and they daddy teaching them about expectation, and they run into a solid dude and fumble the bag, if we're going to be real. So I think it's more so that than just teaching your daughter to look for a dude with superficial things. Because if you're doing that, you're setting up for failure. Because most dudes that got all that, older dudes included, some of the worst men in the world. Pardon me.
Hey, you good, bro? That's what they are.
No, that's facts from both sides.
I think one of the biggest issues, though, is that women are not teaching their daughters that. Because however your mother, right, if she is with the husband, with the father, however she got that man, the women should be teaching their daughters how to get that man, how to conduct yourself with that man, how to know what that man looks like, just how, you knew how it looked like, how it was. That's missed. And it's because a lot of us are not even married. So it just goes trickling down to, how are we going to teach these daughters how to even move in this space when no one wants to be married? That's the biggest issue.
Speaking of,
her mom is not married. She's a single mother 3 times. So now what? The father, even if the father did that lady, that daughter that's in the mother's house most of the time, she's still gonna go with what the mother's saying. So it's kind of like you could, fathers can do a good job and try to change the mindset, but it's going to be rough if you guys are not together. So you have to be together with the woman that you have kids with.
Absolute facts.
Montavia, you was about to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, for me, it's not about teaching my boys how to get the girl or teaching my girls how to get the guy. Like, when I talk about this, my whole goal is to teach my sons how to be men. teach them how to be great fathers. I don't expect to treat my daughters how to be a wife, how to be like my wife is gonna do that, but I'm gonna treat them how a woman should be treated. So that's when I talk about it's coming from that perspective of not teaching them and training them, hey, go be looking for this and go. I want you to be able to recognize that for yourself, make a decision for yourself, use everything that I have taught you, use everything your mom has taught you, and put it into practice. I'm not gonna tell you can't date until you're 18. Like you're gonna be mature enough at whatever age you start to date to understand behind that decision come reward and consequences, and you got to be able to live up to that. I can't. For me, when I talk about these things, it's coming from that perspective because I didn't have my dad in my life to teach me how to be a man. All I saw was examples or excuses that I didn't want and I didn't want to live up to. So I had to learn as I grew, and the part of that is like you have to go through some things. You got to make a lot of mistakes. So now I don't run from my past. I just use that to teach other people and try to get people to see from the perspective of a young guy who's been and done all of these things. But at the same time, that's not who I am because I made a decision and I made the choice to pick up some books to learn from some guys who are married, to learn from some guys who are doing great things in this world and try to instill that into my kids and pass it on so that we can break this generational pattern that's going along. So for me, I don't want to think outside the box. I don't want to think I'm better than anybody, but I'm going to teach my sons and I'm going to teach my daughters the way that I wanted somebody to like show me how to treat a woman. Like if I just had one person to teach me that at a young age, like so many girls would have been saved for me, but it didn't happen. So my job is to teach my son these things so that they don't think that it's okay to have 5 and 6 girlfriends. Like, so when one girl at your elementary school say she want to be, no, I have a girlfriend right now. That's his choice. I'm not gonna tell you don't have girlfriends, but behind that becomes a responsibility. I don't care what she brings to the table. As a man, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? You can't have a girlfriend and be spending V-Bucks all day long. It doesn't work like that. You can't have a man that think you're gonna be buying Takis and laying around eating all, like it doesn't work like that. It comes responsibility with these things, and like as much as we want to wait and talk about make them great when they get to high school and be flashing by you the Jordans to get you the car and do all of these things, no, you're gonna have to go to work. You're gonna have to learn some things. Like for me, I do not want my kids to get it how I got it because they're not raised that way. I was raised in the ghetto. I was raised where I didn't want to go home because I knew when I went home, it wasn't what I wanted. So why would I want to raise my kids in that environment? I went through that. I came out of that. So now it's for me to build that foundation for them to build on. And it's not going to go backwards. So that's the whole perspective that I'm coming from, the way that I'm raising my kids. And my wife is from here and she's from a totally different perspective. So prototype, when you say helpmate, I don't look at my wife as somebody who like she's going to help me in certain areas. For me, helpmate is psychological, it's spiritual, intellectual, it's so many other ways. I want her to be able to help me when I'm slacking in those areas and me do the same for her. So for me, I don't see it as like helpmate being something like physical, what she brings to the table. It's like, no, like at the end of the day, this is my marriage. What I lack, you pick up. Where you lack, I pick up. Together, that's how we're going to help build this successful marriage to pass down for our kids to build a foundation on that they can continue to grow and build on too. So like when I talk about these things, I get excited because I know what I came from. I know what I've seen growing up and I know what I don't want. So I have to make a choice every single day. This is what's going to happen. At the same time, not being like, let's talk about pastors' kids and why they do what they do when they get out of the house. I don't want that. When you in this house, you got the freedom to do whatever you want to do. Just understand that responsibility comes rewards and it's come consequences, and you're gonna have to deal with it. So however you decide to choose to make that decision, just know at the end of the day, I don't have to live with it. You do. And I just want to teach you to be mature enough to understand and recognize these things when they come. So that's the whole perspective behind me raising my kids the way that I do. And it's not perfect and it changed every day. You guys get on here and give so many great things. And best believe I take this and instill it within my kids because it's working for you. So why not go ahead and like it's fruit and it's good fruit. So I want to see that in my life. So of course I'm gonna use the same thing. So I just love to grow and learn from other people. And I know I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. Like I said, the way that I was raised is not the way that we should be raised. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
That's what's up. Dwayne, you had something to add? Really? Oh yeah, you on your silent talk to this today. Okay. And your mute button off and everything. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is good. So I want to say that most people on the panel, I would say everybody on the panel is an advocate for marriage, I would say. And so with that being said, you know, what's the interesting about how people talk about marriage is that, they'll say, well, 50%, I think I've said this before, 50% of marriages end in divorce, and those that are married are unhappy, right? Those are things that are being stated out in the public sector, right? So my question, as an individual that would want people to be married, I'm coming from this angle. How would you advertise people to be married? How would you advertise? And I give you some think time. And it's a free for all, so whoever wants to go. How would you advertise people to be married?
That's easy. So I'm married. I'm happily married. So just come take a look, see how happy I am. You want some of this? All right, cool. I'll show you how to do it. It's not hard. It's because what happens is, really, to be honest, people talk bad about their marriages all the time. Oh, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, right? And then you see sometimes the guys are not in the house, they're at the club, bar, whatever, right? The connection in the house is off. So when people look at that, they're like, that's marriage. But then you skim over all the happy ass people that is like literally doing it. And I'm not saying happy every day. We all know that we don't have, agreements every day, but we know how to conduct ourselves to make it through and make it last a lifetime. But what other people are saying is people getting divorced because they're not happy. So of course, looking at it overall, they're like, marriage, I don't want that. But what happens is also, you can't blame the people who are getting divorces. You as a person have to be smart enough, wise enough to look past that and say, hey, I know I want marriage. I can't let these people spoil what I want, because I know that it can be great. So let me go look. Let me go seek. Let me go do research. A lot of us don't know how to do that. It's about, okay, what's being brought to my eyes, but then you don't go look and see further. You have to go do your due diligence. That's what I did. I did my due diligence. My parents are not married anymore. They got a divorce when I was 10. But I didn't let that say, hey, I'm not going to get married, because they was married for like 15 years. And okay, well, damn, they held it down 15 years. I'm not going to be able to do that. No, that's stupid. That's them. What about me? So let me make my life. Let me go ask the right people. I've seen plenty of old people that was married, and you just ask them, well, how the hell did you keep it together? They'll say, oh, honey, it was just this and that. And you just learn from it. And then when you get your man or your lady, I'm really speaking to women though, when you get your man, you make sure you take those wise, comments that you asked for, because you went and go looking for it, and you put it into your life. So it's just work. People are lazy though. That's another topic. Because if I say, hey, you go and look on research, they don't want to do that. So if you want to be married, to advertise it, I mean, you just have to look and see the good in it, not the bad in it. If you don't want to get married, then that means when you look at people, you're going to look at all the bad stuff, and that's going to be your excuse to not be in it.
I mean, I'll jump at it. So if you're a believer in Christ, it's kind of a no-brainer. You really don't have to sell getting married, because potentially you don't want to live in sin. If you're not a believer in Christ, if you want kids, there's no better way to give your kids the best opportunities they have other than to be married. I recommend people, if you want kids, do it within a marriage and stay there. You know what I mean? For them kids, essentially, we can always go back to duty. If we have duty, we want our kids to be happy. You know what I'm saying? And the best and only way to really do that is to be within a married situation. That's the best situation for them. That's the only way I could sell marriage. Other than that, it's really up to the individual, whether they want to be married or single. Like I said, if they're not a believer, I can't really speak to it. But other than if they want kids, you got to do it within a marriage. Don't be having, bastard kids out here. You know what I'm saying? Just do what's best for the kids. And I'll let somebody else go.
I'll be honest, man. I wouldn't advertise it at all, because it's pointless. Being marriage minded is in you. That ain't nothing that you can be convinced to do. It's just like trying to tell somebody, hey, how would you advertise Christianity to somebody? Or how would you advertise being a Jehovah's Witness to somebody? I mean, you can try, but it's like, if that person don't have that deep investment, or they don't give a damn about religion like that, you wasting your breath. That's just not what they own. All you can do is thrive within your marriage, learn each other, figure each other out, and y'all thrive and y'all, be successful. And I think, at the end of the day, if they want to be married, then they will. Or if they have a change of heart on being married, it's going to be something that they, encounter on their own. But me selling it or me advertising it, pointless. It's pointless, man. I mean, it's either in you or it ain't. And a lot of people don't learn until they in it that it ain't. But a lot of times that comes from programming. Your parents or your kid, or people like pushing women to be married. When you gonna be married? When you gonna have some babies? When you gonna do this? So it's like, okay, this must be what I'm supposed to do. So let me just jump into it. You know what I'm saying? I find a guy to do what I like or whatever. Let me jump into it. And then they get into it and they crash and burn because marriage not for everybody. It's not. We can speak to the stats of, having kids out of wedlock and things of that nature. And all those things are true. But fact is that it's just as many kids traumatized from being in a household with parents who not meant to be married than there are in single parent households. If we're going to be honest, you can have parents that's married 30, 40 years, but if they hate each other and they arguing every damn day and there's no unity and there's no union, there's no communication, what type of example is that setting? You damn near setting a worse example than if you was a single parent raising a kid.
I would say those kids are still better.
Wait. Because when you get out in the real world, your mindset on marriage, your mindset on relationships is going to be tainted. Why the hell would I want to get married? My parents were married 40 years and they argued every day. I don't want that. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to be single. I'm going to deal with people at my leisure, at my convenience, and we're going to rock that way. So again, marriage is either in you or it's not. Find somebody that is in and y'all rock out. But, trying to advertise it to somebody, it's pointless. But I'm done. You can go ahead, G.
All right, so the more I was listening, I was like, man, you know what? If we are married, I think we are advertising. Period. Point blank. Because like a point of branding is other people see what you're wearing, and that's a form of marketing too. Because you walking around in them J's, and people look down their status to it. So I think, just like I was saying earlier, like some people do look at marriage in a negative way, but then there's so much joy to it. So as for advertising, 2 is greater than 1. That would be a simple. 2 is greater than 1 because it in so many factors. So even with the bad marriage, I think that also then has the potential to have them know what bad is, and then they were able to then see other people and see other marriages and see how they're flourishing unlike theirs. So marriage is a good institution, period. So just even being able to observe it being done right is optimal. So just if we desire and we find marriage to be a good thing, we are the walking advertisements or advertisers.
Thing is, Dwayne, you know what the only pushback that I got to that is that the people who in successful marriages and the people who in marriages that are actually, thriving, we don't hear from them. We hear from failures. We hear from people who have grievances. We hear from people who cheating on each other, who got divorced and lost all this money and lost their kids and lost this and lost that. That's what we hear most of the time. The people in happy marriages, they just doing their thing. They ain't a lot of times you don't even know they married. They don't even speak to it like that. Unless you follow them on social media and they posting their wife or something like that. But it's the people who fail, and that's the loudest. So I can't even agree with you on that.
Well, see, so and that's what I enjoy about that, because we invest in our marriage. So we'll go to these marriage conferences, we'll go to these marriage classes, we'll sign up for those things as a form of education. So to that specific point in which you're talking about, there's multiple videos in which we watch where through those mistakes in which are made in marriage, it shows that how the bond of marriage can even be strengthened through the disappointments in which we cause to each other through that institution. So like watching that recovery process, watching that forgiveness process, that restoration process in marriage through those failures, like I now get to observe from other people's failures and learn from it, and then be able to hopefully not be able to fall into that pothole or even that blind spot. That's they're giving you a heads up. So I think even in that, true love starts with a love for people. So telling your stories. So there's people out there that are willing to tell their stories, tell how they failed, so that others won't, because they also too believe in the institution of marriage. They just fell into temptation, which we all are able to do.
I agree with Dwayne there because I learned from people's failures and I was like, hell nah, I would never do that in my life ever. And I would proceed with something that's the opposite. A lot of us learn differently. So I guess we all have different learning techniques. But I do believe you can't do that with everything, but I do believe you can do it with life lessons. So if you want to see what not to do, go look outside. You see somebody on the street that shouldn't be there. You're like, cool, I would never do that. How did they get there? Cool, I would never do that. And then you proceed to do the opposite. So,
But see, okay, I understand what y'all saying, but I feel like it's speaking from a very ideal perspective. If we just break down what advertising is, selling something, right? So if I have a business, most people are not going to want to buy my product if I'm showing how much it fails. So in regard to what y'all talking about, y'all learn from people failing and y'all still fought through the adversity and the doubt and all of that to try to make it happen anyway. But most people, if you show them failure after failure after failure after failure, it's not going to persuade them to want to go do that is essentially what I'm saying. So I think the remedy to this is I think more people who are happily married is going to have to start speaking up on that. But fact is most people, and not even here, growing up in their own household, the marriage didn't work. My auntie and uncle got divorced. My cousin got divorced. My sister tried to get married. They was married for 2 years, got divorced. My grandparents, they got divorced. Like, you just seeing divorce, failure, kids separated, money being lost, people hating each other at the family reunions, all of this type. That's not going to motivate most people to want to go jump into that, is essentially what I'm saying. Just because it did, y'all seen the failures and looked through it and said, hey, I'm just not going to do it that way, but I still want to do it. I don't feel like most people are wired like that. And that's why advertising is set up the way it is. I'm going to show you the greatest successes of what my product does so I can try to sell it. Even and it may be some bullshit if we're going to be real. But if I can find 5 or 6 people that it worked great on, that's what we're going to show if we're trying to advertise this. So that's my only issue with what y'all saying. Most people see failures. If I had to throw a percentage on it, probably 70% of the time in terms of marriage. So that can do way more harm than good is essentially what I'm saying. And it's going to do way more harm than good for most people. Y'all are just exceptions.
I think that's their fault though, because you could sell the hell out of your hat, Trill, right? But if you give it to somebody and there's one speck of imperfection, they're going to go ballistic. Like, why is that there? And they're going to send you to the Better Business Bureau and report your business. So yes, we can I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just saying in general, we could false advertise all day long, but the person who's receiving the product, it's your determination to figure out if you want it or not. That's what I'm saying. And I guess maybe that's what you're saying. I don't know. I think it is depending on the person, but I don't think it's like us. Because like we could, like you said, we could sell this all day, but whoever receives it is going to be the determination of what they're going to do with it.
Right. But see, I think you're speaking to the back side of it. I'm speaking to the front side of it in terms of the motivation to even want to purchase the product to begin with. Now, in terms of after I have the product, whether or not it's worth having, sure, but I already spent my money already. So if you done sold me some bullshit, I'm suffering on the back end of this. But we speaking to, okay, if everything I'm watching, am I inspired to even purchase the product using that analogy? Or am I even inspired to even walk into this marriage? Speaking of that reality. And fact is, most people are not, especially men. If we're going to be real, we sit up here and watch YouTube all day long. There's people got 4-5 hour panels as to why men shouldn't get married. It's no benefit. It's no gain from it. You're going to lose your kids. You're going to lose half your money. You're going to lose your assets. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. It's way more panels like that than ones who have successfully married people up there saying, hey, bro, these are the benefits of what this thing can do for you. So what I'm saying is that as long as that's the case, people are going to always be hesitant to get way more hesitant to get married than they are willing to walk into it and purchase the product to see if it's for them.
But it's still going in the wrong direction though. Like if I look to the left, I see all bad. I look to the right, I see all good. You have to pick where you're going to go. So just because you've seen all bad don't mean it's all bad. That's not even realistic. Nothing is 100. You got to move to a different space of life, go to a different area where you're going to see more success. Just like when you date women or date men. If you know when you date men at the club, you're going to get a whole bunch of nonsense versus you going to the gym. You still got to maneuver in a different space. So I get what you're saying, but I still think it's based off of the person that's buying.
So I'm
Go
so
ahead,
sorry.
Go ahead, Warren.
I agree with what y'all are saying. I think there's a bigger advertiser though. Like, so the institution of marriage is a good thing overall, point blank, period, because that's how civilization thrives, is based on its population. So as for being fruitful and multiplying, that as for marriage is the ultimate union in order to do that fruitfully. All right. So as for from a biblical perspective, the adversary is the one that desires to convince you or sell you the idea that marriage as an institution is not a good thing. And I think as for sowing discourse amongst men and women, like as for this culture war, men versus women and all this, that feeds into it as well. So I look at it, there is a huge push for advertisement against marriage culturally.
For sure.
Is it a push or is it people just looking around them though?
No, I think it's an active push, an active push, and a severely active push, because it goes to, especially in America, because it goes to the core root and the bedrock of this civilization is the family.
Let me say real quick. Go ahead. You finna say something, Trill?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that I don't necessarily feel like it's a push against marriage. I think a lot of people are just looking around and just analyzing situations. Even going back to what Lady Di said, she said you can look to your left, see all good, look to your right, see all bad. I don't think it's like that for most people. I think people look around, and if it's 10 different directions that I'm looking on, 8 of them failed, 2 of them are successful. Do I want to gamble on this investment, knowing that it's a 20% chance that I win? It's just like putting a business proposal in front of somebody and say, hey, it's a 20% chance that you're going to come out on top. But, I need all your money in your bank account. I need all of your self-esteem. I need all of your confidence. I need all of your time that you're going to be invested in this thing. Are you willing to invest all of that for a 20% success rate? Most people are going to look at that man in the eyes and say, get the hell out of my face. I'm not doing that. Right. So I think that's more so what the mindset is. Sure, you can look to the 20% and say, hey, I can try to do it that way. The fact is that that's not even guaranteed, because you're not in that 20% to see that day for day on how that works. Those two people could be completely different than you and the person that you enter into it with. Now, we're going to try to do it that way, and we fall on our face as well. You see what I'm saying? So I think the mindset is people looking around. I done seen 10 marriages in my life. 8 of them are divorced. Do I want to gamble my livelihood on a 20% chance to win? I think it's more so that than a message being pushed. But that's my opinion. Go ahead, AZ.
Well, the counter to that would be the lack of faith. And that for me, that's in the unseeing. So people gamble every day. People put their rent money on something that they on faith. So I don't look at it as that simple. But
let me add it to it like this. The reason why I asked the question is because, just like Dwayne said, I mean, our civilization is hinged on marriages being productive. Whether it was a man having multiple wives or a man just having one wife, like that's the way in which societies thrive in any particular ethnic group that you look at, right? But however, there is a literal push for there to be singles. If you look, I think if you read maybe Thomas Sowell, if you read, you listen to Jordan Peterson, the things that they talk about, because what you'll see is that the government makes more money when people are single, because you have 2 of everything as opposed to one household, right? And so, not to mention, if you look at it, the advertising, we talking about advertising in the Black community, you'll see that Black women are leading in being business owners, even though many of us fail, and businesses in general will fail. Only about 10%, maybe 20% or something like that will even do or make it out the first year, right? And only about 10 to 5% or 5 to 10% even make it beyond 5 years. But that does not stop our generation or even people in general from trying to be their own business or be a business owner. So, and they see that people are not that successful. However, they do see people that are, right? And so they think that they can probably be them. But in actuality, they don't have all the bullet points that it's going to take for them to be a successful business owner. Like one of the things you're doing, Trill, is reading, right? That helps you with that marketing and advertising element of your business, right? And so I would say that, people are wired to be in a relationship because we are communal people, right? And so because we are communal people, I believe that the majority of people want to be in a marriage, right? Because the reason why I believe that is because of companionship, right? If it's not marriage, they definitely want to be in the household with that person all the time. Right? And they want to do all the things that would say what marriage is, whether it's sex, whether it's cooking, it's cleaning. You take the kids here, I'm gonna take the kids here. We're gonna hang out at this particular time. Like they do all the union and things of marriage. And if it wasn't so, then it wouldn't be so many people willing and ready to live with somebody before they get married, because that's typically what they're thinking. Well, if we can live together before we get married, then this will work out. But the studies show that most people that live together don't get married, right? So, but I would say the way that we can advertise marriages is do panels like this, obviously, actually telling people, which we'll get into this next segment, the benefits of marriage. And this will be our last topic. And this is why I would say that marriage is better than being single. But we'll kind of maybe move that to another conversation. But I want to know what you believe is one or two advantages of being married. And then we're going to wrap this up with a bow. Who would like to start that conversation?
All right. Man, for me, when I looked at, growing up, when I looked at successful people, successful men, man, they just always had wives. That's just what it was. So I always just had in my head that successful men are married, and me wanting to be successful, man, it kind of came with it. So that's kind of how I always kind of peg my head around it. I don't know many men that are successful who are not married. They always got wives. And I think for young, dangerous men, it settles you down from making them idiot decisions that you once, didn't care for. You know what I'm saying? You didn't care for your life. You didn't care for certain things. So you was making the wildest decisions at the roughest times. You know what I mean? So I think it saves a lot of men's life. It can save a lot of men's life if they're, if they're dangerous and don't have anything to lose, kind of a situation. It kind of settles them down. You know what I'm saying? You get a wife to kind of protect yourself so you can get focused and, be on your ding. You know what I'm saying? So that's the benefits of it, is for one, like I said, most successful people are married. And for two, it should settle you down and get you focused and driven towards your goal. It should help you in that way.
Nobody with benefits.
For me, I was married.
Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you, Trill. When I was married, the concept of a man having a dream or a vision and then me having something to hold on to and to build with him. So this idea of building, whether that is your vision, your dreams, a family, was very important in a marriage. And I think for most people that this idea of building is important. Also leaving a legacy. Like you want to have your name be able to be passed down from generation to generation to generation. You want the grandchildren, the great grandchildren. You want to see these products that you have made and them to be better off than you have been. their marriages to be better, their children to be raised better than you. So building and legacy would be the two things that were extremely important for me, or are extremely important for me in marriage.
Yeah. First off, I just want to say that the hesitation to answer this question, I think, speaks to my point. But that's another conversation for another day. What it does to me, right, is again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Marriage is like religion. It's about what it does for you. You know what I'm saying? So we can speak to the numbers about finance, successful, and things of that nature. But in terms of what it does for me, it provides me structure. For one, it's just like, and I'm gonna throw an analogy out there. It's just like going to Starbucks every day, right? But you ain't necessarily signed up for the program. You ain't necessarily got your star. You ain't necessarily got your, swipes. You ain't got your account made. You go in there, you spending money on this every single day. But you ain't necessarily gaining anything. Like you're not building anything from it. There is no light at the end of the tunnel, right? Compared to if I'm signed up with Starbucks and I'm spending my money every single day, every time I spend, it's an investment into what I'm building, my points and my prizes and my free drinks that I'm gonna get on the back end, things of that nature. It's the same thing with marriage. I could easily be out there just sniping women every other weekend, easily. But on the back end of that, there's no fulfillment in it. I'm not gaining anything from it. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, if after you do it so much, the women become faceless. It's just something to do, just to get me through the day or the night. Or I'm leaving out the club, I'm drunk. I just want to smash something right quick, send it to the crib, and I'm gone. That's what you're doing when you're not married. You see what I'm saying? But when you married and you building something with this person, like every single thing that I accomplish is going toward the pot. If I graduate from college, that's going toward the pot. I'm bettering our, ability to spend money. The more money I make, that's going toward the pot. The kids we bring into this thing, that's going toward the pot. That's an investment. All of this thing is tied to what it is that we building. We, me and you, my name is on it. I'm not at the end of the night sending you back home and just shit. Let me see who's gonna be next tomorrow. It's not that. It's a sense of fulfillment. It's a sense of legacy. You walk around with a sense of pride. And the thing is, a lot of us from the environments that we come from, we don't really see that until we escape them and go to thriving and successful communities. Right? Me, when I went off to college, I was meeting dudes whose parents been married 30 years and they come from like a legacy. Right? Like it was pride in that last name. Like, hey, my last name is Tanner or whatever. My granddad was a, foreman over here and his name is on this dorm room building and this, that, and the third. Like, that's what real legacy is. It's something that can be passed down. It's something that can be like, it's pride in that. But a lot of us don't even come from households with marriage in it. Shit, us and our mama got different last names. So there is no pride in the name. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. It's about fulfillment. It's about building. It's about, establishing some type of legacy that the kids that we bring into this thing and the grandchildren and the great grandchildren can benefit from. If I'm out here just sniping women every weekend, I'm not doing that. I'm just buying drinks at Starbucks without building my points up, man. And I ain't trying to do that.
All right. Listen, y'all, we was silent because someone is supposed to tell the next person when to go. That did not happen. So I'm going to go. So it won't be silent. So I believe marriage is the benefits is pretty much a purpose to do something. Some of us have no drive. Why? Because you don't know why you're doing it. So for example, if I was single, up till I was 25, if I was single and I was, accomplishing all of my goals, but then I can't go home. I mean, when I go home, I'm going home to myself. So then now I'm 30 years old. Now my income went to 100,000. Now I'm at a 200,000. All right, cool. I got 200,000. I got some properties, I'm investing, whatever. Okay. I go home. Still, there's nothing there. Right. Okay, now I'm 35 and I keep doing the same thing over and over. Where am I going home to? Why am I doing all of this? To do what? Please myself, please my mother, my father, my family. Wow, Lady Di has made it. That's what's up. Now where the kids at? Where the husband at? They still gonna be looking at me like, empty, you're empty. We need something. You need to fill that pot up. So it's about purpose. So for me, it's a drive. Like the stuff, why I'm even here anyway, dating to marriage, that's the name of my page. is to help people get in a space where they're level-minded in marriage. Because everything outside of that sometimes could be very toxic. I'm not saying you have to be married, but if you're single and you're living a life full of a whole bunch of nonsense that Trill was saying, then that's not purposeful. Like, you need to make sure that you're going in a life where you have a purpose to make something great. Even if it's just your household, you're making your household great. You got one kid, you got a wife, cool. Y'all making that great, and then you're gonna send that child out doing the same thing, and it's just gonna keep going on and going on. That is the benefit of marriage. If you just out here just living, you're gonna go travel the world by yourself. That's cute, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get old, and then what? You're just gonna be cute by yourself on the beach? No, you gotta still have somebody, and I'm not talking about a child. I'm talking about someone who you're in love with, who you want to spend the rest of your life with, grow old with, someone that, and I'm not trying to be pushing wheelchairs, but I'm trying to be dramatic. You're pushing the wheelchair, he pushing your wheelchair, something like that. You want to make sure that you have some type of support. And people keep saying, oh, well, he's going to die before me and all this stuff. Stop all that. Let's live like we see people doing that, but we are the younger, right? The younger generation that could change it. Go work out, drink your gallon of water, eat healthy food. Maybe you could live longer than what you're seeing. It's about what you're eating. It's about what you're doing. It's the stress that you're putting onto your life. Try to be more happy, right? And then you could see more of a success. So it's about purpose and it's about family. That's it. Young, you could go.
I'll jump in. For me, is having a relationship, a marriage that reflects Christ. I'll say that, which I struggle at. But I think having that thing to reflect on is what keeps me humble. So, despite how I feel, or if I don't like my wife, the Bible says to love your enemy. So even if I feel like she's my enemy, right? Why she do this to me today? I did not need it. That don't matter. You still gotta love. And that's what's so difficult, because like, hey, you gotta work through it. If you believe it, you gotta live it. Not only that, you get to change the world through generations, like what y'all were saying, as for having that legacy. Oh yes, be fruitful and multiply. That's living it out right there.
Guess I'll be the last one. For me, probably one of the main benefits is just growth. We talk about two becoming one. Like, I just got done planting flowers in the front for my wife, and I think about those flowers. Like, once I plant it, like, nothing happens, but as long as you continue to water it, same thing with your marriage, continue to go to work, build your marriage, you have to understand, like, those roots are going to go down deep before you start seeing the progress up top. So for me, it's just about that growth. When you invest in your marriage and you continue to put in the work, and you really start talking about two becoming one, we start to see that. And what a lot of people don't like about that, and when you think about growth, there's a lot of things you have to prune off. And in the beginning, that's what it was for me. Things that I saw growing up, things that I was bringing into our marriage was hurting our marriage. And I understood that wasn't going to like allow our marriage to last and grow the way that I thought it was going to be. So I had to go to work on myself. So that was probably the main thing. One of the main benefits I saw is just the growth aspect. And then just like you guys were talking about, just that legacy and deciding what type of legacy that you want to leave for your kids. And that just for me is probably one of the biggest ones, because it's a choice that you get to make. And I think you make that choice about who are you letting influence your life? Who are you letting influence the way that you are married? Who are you letting influence the way that you are raising your kids? And I think for me, that's been probably one of the most important things that I've done. Not saying I just cut people off all the time, but I just distance myself, and I don't go in surroundings that I don't want to be in my life. So for me, it's about understanding like these are the decisions that you have to make for yourself. Understanding like it's not about today. It's not about who likes you today. It's what are you building for the future? What trails are you going to allow other people to come once you open that door? So it's about just that growth and just leaving the legacy for your kids, showing them that how you got it isn't probably going to be the same way that you have to get it. But if you just continue to invest in what you have and continue to build on the platform, the foundation that we are laying, then I think you can build just about any type of successful thing that you want. And it just boils down to, at the end of the day, it's just having, making a choice and just having that mindset that it's possible if you're willing to get off your butt, not be lazy, not settle for that's just who I am and how I was raised, and actually be willing to use the resources that we have, like the Humble Dad podcast. Like, think about the amount of conversations that we've had about marriage, family, leadership, so many type of things. Like, that is a resource that if you listen to, like, it will literally change your life if you apply it. So for me, it's just thinking about the resources that we have and actually investing in the thing that you want to see work out in the long term.
That's what's up, man. I really appreciate you all for giving me a little bit of your time this evening and talking about what's important to me anyway, which is having healthy marriages. It is an investment. I mean, that's what it is. I think we've all kind of alluded to that. It's a matter of, are you willing to take the risk of having somebody learn a lot about who you are and pushing your buttons at times, and are you willing to overcome those triggers? Really, I think it's a matter. One of the things I think that will be helpful, right? I learned this from a guy that was preaching on Sunday. He said it would be good to, when you do your date night, that you say, okay, this is what we're going to do, or this is what we're going to talk about. So if it's an issue that you have with your spouse, then you can say, okay, well, we're going to talk about the budget, on Friday when we meet, so that they won't be blindsided in the conversation. I don't know if y'all had that situation where you think of something and you say it, and it should have waited for a different moment to have a conversation, right? As opposed to, them having an idea of what we're going to talk about, so they can have their mind ready for conversation. Just knowing that there are hills and valleys, and that you get to learn a lot about yourself in a marriage, because your spouse, as somebody said, is a mirror of you, and is a reflection of you. So, and also another benefit is that you get more money back in taxes. You know what I'm saying? Just for those that don't know about it, okay? And them single people be out there like, man, why they taking so much taxes? Well, listen, What'd you say, Shan? Oh, you agree? For sure. And then I'm gonna try to do this.
Get your business. Get your business. Get your business. If you say,
yeah, get your business for sure.
Your business.
That's a fact. And pay your kids. Okay.
Yes, it's coming.
So there are a couple of super chats. I think this is how I go. I don't typically get them. You know what I'm saying? So, and these go to those that are tuned in from their channel. It says, Grizz Treats $4.99. Trill, my girl tried to ambush me with cruise season shorts. Man, I turned on that panel you did about the 5. She turned the whole channel off.
Hey man, they don't never want us to get our 5G. They never want us to get our 5. Salute to Grizz, man. It was a panel that we was discussing about like expectations in relationships or just dating in general. We was like, women got a million things that they expect for a man to do. Man, all we got is a solid 5 that we gonna ask for 20 years. It ain't gonna change. You saying we can't even get that? So like that's the like running joke of it. You know what I'm saying? So now every time in the chat they be like, "See, we can't even get our 5."
I was wondering what that was. Yeah, we can't get our 5. Listen, are you writing a book on that? Can we get our 5?
Huh?
You gonna write a book on that? Can we get our 5?
Look, man, I need to, man.
Listen,
I need to, because men is simple, man. We just need about 5 things. Women, they need about 100, but that's another conversation for another day. We can't even get our 5, and that's what bro referencing. Look at him, and she said, because the shorts is a lot of times what women want to hear, right? But when they come to the panel and then it's time for that critique, it's time for that accountability. Then she try to turn the channel off. So that's what he's talking about.
Okay, I got you. That's what's up. Okay. Oh, it's similar to what I said to you earlier today about the lady apologizing. That was hilarious. All right, we got unsolicited security boss. Shout out to her. Appreciate your love. Love this humble dad on the crew. Shout out in the crew. Sorry. Shout out Trill. Then we have another one. This Apple thing. I don't know how y'all deal with Apple, bro. Like the 2 fingers ain't working. Okay. All right. How can you spotlight good marriages locally? I think we kind of did that a little bit. And then let's see. Oh, there you go. What is the Black church contribution to bad impact on marriages? That'd be a good conversation for another day for sure. I like good questions. All right. Well, that's been our time. Hey, make sure y'all tune in to these folks. You got Shan. She's tripping over there on TikTok. She ain't did nothing in a while, but that's
I'm working my business.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You doing hair?
Thanks. I'm working my business.
My bad. That's a fact. I forgot about that. My bad. All right. And then you got Motavious Young. Check him out on all platforms. You know what I'm saying? Listen. That's how he starts it off. So he gives really good sound advice as well. Then you got Prototype on Tuesday nights. It's always something that he's talking about that's very productive in relationship to men. Mostly, isn't that right? Prototype is mostly men that you're trying to get them on track.
We're talking about fatherhood over there. So.
Fatherhood. For sure. Then you got Trill AC. I don't know who doesn't know him. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know Trill, listen, you can be humble all you want. I don't have to be when I'm talking about you, Trill. Okay.
Hey, real quick, man. Salute to Crusader Nation pulling up tonight. Make sure y'all subscribe to Humble Dad platform. And this type of conversation be being had every single Monday, man. Make sure y'all there showing love. Leaves in the chat. Y'all already know how we give it up, man. Appreciate you, HD.
That's what's up. I appreciate you. Ever since I met AC, you know what I'm saying? I'm a short dude. I'm like, okay, I gotta talk up to this dude. You know what I'm saying? He showed love to me when we was in H-Town for sure. We didn't get to do the hoop game, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that he running. But he gonna say that we just didn't have time, whatever the case may be. And then you got Lady Di, you know what I'm saying? You gotta check her out on all different platforms. What you want to say to the people, Lady Di?
You go follow me on all platforms, Lady Di DCM. You'll find me and my husband there. It was me by myself, but now my husband is joining me so we can make this thing work when it comes to getting people together, getting married.
That's what's up. And then you got Dwayne Jones, who did our engagement photos on Saturday. Did a really good job. Always does a phenomenal job. And behind the scenes, he always checking me and making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What you got to say, Dwayne, before we get out? Here you go with that mute button. Listen, bro. We gonna make a shirt, Dwayne off mute, or something. That's what it's gonna say, bro.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Well, keep supporting Humble Dad. He's doing a good thing here. So doing something that's much needed in our society. So
that's a bet. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. And we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. Phenomenal show. Really appreciate all the people that came out to pay a little bit more, to pay attention to what's going on. And for me, I want marriages to thrive. And if you having a struggling marriage, I would say that you need to look inward and see what can you do better, as well as understand that things are going to get better. Just stay with it. And if you are having good marriages, please let people know about it. Speak up. Until next time, deuces.